yes, 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 yes. 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 I think, really, well, my friend, the published author, Sarah Maxwell, said it best when she talked about what it takes to become a published, a successful author. Yes, 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 yes. I think she said a lot of things that made a lot of sense, and I think we can all relate to that, or in some sense we can. But I think all I can add, in honesty, all I can add is, if you want to go that one step further and become an unpublished author, then you really have to be willing to go that little bit further and embrace some other qualities which are necessary in order never to get published. You have to be willing to you have to be willing to never quite settle on anything, on genre, on storyline, on your prospective market. You have to do absolutely no research on what the market wants, or why, or what you want to write, really. It's good if you can learn to waver between poetry, the novel, the short story, and never quite decide which one you're going to plump for. And that way you just completely able to diversify and never quite finish anything, which is very important. It's very important never to finish anything, which is not always as easy as it sounds, and you really have to work on it. I do have a few tips. If you can learn to procrastinate, a point I've managed to get through quite well. I do pride myself on having a certain predilection for procrastination, and a certain je ne sais quoi as far as procrastination goes. Something I've always been able to do quite naturally, but if you don't have that natural bent, then you really will have to work on it. Sort of wavering, the procrastination. Another tip I've found is, if you have multiple, as well as the multiple notebooks dotted all over your workspace, so that you can pick one up and start writing in it and then completely lose it under a lot of other notebooks. That way it all just becomes such a huge confusing muddle that it does help you never to get anything finished. I find that very helpful. Also, to have lots of pens that don't work very well, and never become very proficient at typing, because that would make things rather easy and a little too speedy. And slowness, you really do have to take your time over just about everything, from And not just the writing, I mean from everything in life. Just really, really take your time. It does helps to have invest in a silk eye patch, and then you can take yourself off. I show you how to pop it on. Pop it on like this. You just pop it over your, literally need to pop it over your eyes, and then you can settle yourself down and imagine that you are thinking about the storyline or what you're going to write next. And then inevitably you will descend into a deep sleep, and on waking you'll completely have forgotten what you were going to write about, and that's incredibly helpful. I do have some other tips, but you will need to join the writing course that my friend is running at her country estate. It's the one next to the where the mass murderers live and the paedophiles, just past where all the snakes live and the spiders. You go over the ravine and past the men with the guns, and then as you go over the other side, you'll see all the sweep the spiders out of the way and the two-headed horses. And then you'll get to her cottage, and it's very, very nice. It's very, very nice. And she doesn't keep it clean, but then she's a published author, so you know you can't expect these things. In fact, you'd probably be disappointed if it was too clean. And she does keep these enormous dogs, which I think they're rather like the hounds of Hades. They keep out all the riffraff and the murderers and things, because obviously, being a published author, she does need to stay alive. Otherwise, what's the point? Frankly, what's the point? What's the point? I mean, yeah. But yes, do join us on the retreat, and I shall be making an appearance. Probably towards the end of the retreat, to stem any fears of inadequacy by just really being more inadequate than you. I look forward to seeing you there. I'm even now coming up with lots and lots of and I just wanted to pass on a few early morning tips, really. It's very, very important if you're really serious about becoming an unpublished author to get up very early in the morning, because it's the best time of day to make a start, really, at anything that can happen early in the morning. And it's very important to prepare your body and your mind to everything that's to come for the day. I like to start by ensuring that my body's in tip-top order for the day to come. One way I think that people don't often think about is the relevance of making sure that they've opened their bowels in the morning, symbolically, statistically, physically, mentally, spiritually, medically. It's very important to keep the bowels running smoothly as possible. They do say that a constipated mind is as bad as a constipated body, or it might be the other way around, but or one thing causes the other. It's a kind of snowball effect, but not brown snowball, really, I suppose, if you want to take it to its obvious conclusion. Anyway, one way that I have myself in the morning to combat such eventuality, I like to take a little shot of magnesium sulfate, which, if you know anything about chemicals, you know that the best thing for keeping the bowels regular. I have a little recipe that I make myself, which I just dissolve down a few crystals of the magnesium sulfate into a small glass of wine, and the tannins help to lubricate all the intestines, the small intestine, middle-sized intestine, large intestine, and the enormous, right down to the little tiny. And, there's a lot of undulations that your mind goes through, your body goes through. It's very important to keep that clear so that you have a smooth passageway as possible for any thoughts and ideas that are going to come in the day, that you can scribble it all down, scribble it all down. Doesn't matter whether you can read it. But there'll come a time when you're going to think, I remember, and then you'll have it. So, as I say, I have plenty more tips which I will be sharing on the retreat, and I honestly look forward to seeing you there. I'm just going to have a little more of my vitamin drink, and then onwards with the day. So we look forward to seeing you there. It's going to rain.